one of the things I recently experienced when these huge packages were, stimulus packages were launched, and that's a question that on the one hand addresses the Sustainable Recovery Plan, but also your former role in the EU. One of the statements I from a good friend of mine who worked all his life in Southern Europe in the energy industry, he told me, he said, Samuel, we don't need more money. Money was not missing. What we really need is we need structural reform. That is what we're missing. How would you comment to that statement? Is the capital a problem, or is the problem the reform that of our infrastructure sector, for instance?
I wouldn't agree to that statement, by the way, because I think indeed we need finance and reforms. I think we need, and the EU is a very good example. The recent, if the package is agreed by all EU member states, it would give a boost, and that's what we need. But the boost needs to be in the right focused areas, like we analyzed on the clean energy side. Obviously, there are other transport, health, and so on. So I would say we need the money, we need the investments, much more going up. We need public government policies to trigger public but also private investment. When we speak about the recovery plan and that 1 trillion per year, we expect 60–70% coming from the private money and not public money. So I think we need these public policies to trigger money, but we also need the regulatory framework, obviously. There are still some barriers where we need to go and overcome in order to make that projects coming up. So I think the statement is a bit too blunt on one side. We need certainly both.
Okay, but if we still think, like, you know, there is an issue with structural reforms that are missing, and where basically, you know, people would be willing to invest, but the structural reforms make it really difficult. Could it actually be that in some countries the availability now of very cheap money is almost detrimental, in the sense that it takes the pressure away from the political side to make the necessary structural reforms, because money is available, and therefore people would, you know, accept certain political risks or regulatory risks because the money is so cheap and it's so easily available? Could that be almost a negative?
I don't think so. I think money is available, money is cheap, you're right, but we still need regulatory reform. And we saw it in Germany. There was some help and support in streamlining administrative procedures of wind turbines, licensing, and that managed to accelerate. I think Andreas is better placed than me, that meaningfully. So we need still administrative procedures to be simplified, one-stop shops, and all that, which would help to accelerate, to make that projects happen. It's not only the cheap money. It needs certainly some simplification and some right regulatory policies and facilitation.
Okay. Well, interesting aspects. On the one hand, we need a healthy sector providing us with technology and the capability to execute projects. On the other hand, we need guidelines for governments on what to do in order to make the next 10 years a success in the fight against climate change.